any of the airports within the period. So joining me now is Managing Partner at Glow Aviation Support Services Limited, Tayo Juri. Tayo, good morning. It's nice to have you join me this morning, and I hope you're safe where you are. Now,
very much so.
Great. Now, only essential flights are allowed at this time, as said by the Minister of Aviation. Now, break it down for us basically. What really constitutes essential flights at this time?
It's nice to be here and always an honor. Essential flights at this time are humanitarian flights and medical flights. Humanitarian flights, like we know, we're in a pandemic situation and we need the medical supplies, we need food, we need healthcare supplies. So we don't manufacture any of those here at the moment. So once we have cargo flights, mostly that have them coming in, they're able to come into Lagos or Abuja and have them distributed from Abuja and Lagos. Over and beyond that, we have humanitarian flights. We have lots of people due to medical issues, due to family issues, and due to the need to return to their home states. They need to actually move back. So they actually, either their countries, their foreign affairs are actually organizing flights for them, or they're organizing private charter flights based on approvals. They'll actually get to go and leave the country or come in based on that.
Basically, make us understand what impact is this having on the aviation sector right now? Paint a picture for us.
Well, like every other it's a human pandemic, and every sector of human endeavor is actually affected, from aviation to the layman and to the person on the street. For us, it actually has we actually got hit first. Aviation, studies have shown over years that aviation gets hit when there's a shock to the economy, and it's the last to come out. We got hit when obviously we had the first index case that came in from Italy, and there were lots of clamor for airports to be closed. Over and beyond that, we got hit when all the airlines started lots of travel restrictions, lots of passenger confidence reduced. So with that, it's actually, it affected, and it will affect air travel even over and beyond COVID-19, post-COVID-19 era. So we've seen lots of airlines specifically close down and due to COVID-19, and some have actually gone bankrupt as well. And we're going to see lots of airlines go bankrupt, unfortunately, post-COVID-19. And with that, what some governments have done, being proactive, is actually provide what you call a remedy or some stimulus to them. I won't call it a palliative, but it's a stimulus financial package to the airline in terms of payroll plan assistance, in terms of loans, in terms of grants, and this actually would help the airline to actually steady through this most difficult period.
All right, even before the COVID-19, several or most of the airlines within Nigeria were struggling to keep afloat. And now with COVID-19, the situation could be more compounded. Are there, from what you hear, are there any possibility of the government giving the stimulus package, like you say, or maybe a bailout to sustain the local airlines?
Well, aviation is an economic driver is a driver to the economy and a catalyst as well. Yes, to your point, some airlines had underlying financial and management or good governance issues prior to COVID-19, and so yes, they would go under and go bankrupt. And for those that are viable, or those that are able to withstand the post-COVID-19 era, what would happen would see lots of changes, and it's for them on an individual basis or as a collective front, which I actually promote over individual basis, to actually position their needs towards the government through the airline operations of Nigeria. And they have actually done that to identify where the challenges are. But it's not in terms of just dishing out taxpayers' money, because obviously Nigeria in itself doesn't have that financial capability at this time. So what they're actually offering is soft loans or guaranteed loans, which based on their business plan, they're able to actually give them to weather the storm. Or what we might see in the interim or as an alternative will be what would see as an alternative. Sorry about that. Will be a lot of business plan changes and role models thereafter, where we would actually see lots of partnerships and strategic partnerships and strategic technical partners thereafter, after the post-19 era.
All right. What kind of collaboration? Because at times like this, the more individualistic the companies become, the less strong they become as well. So one would advise they come together to collaborate, pool resources together, pool ideas together. What kind of collaboration are you looking at, or maybe even mergers after post COVID-19?
We've never seen this before, obviously, but what we've seen SARS, we've seen 9/11. We've seen lots of airlines go under. Aviation itself is very volatile. The margins are very low. So what we're going to see is either they innovate or they sink. The airlines themselves, we've never seen or we've never experienced Nigerian Airlines merge. They might actually chew or bite the pride and merge. Don't forget, we have a very peculiar ownership structure, where airlines in our climate is still owned to a great extent, managed and operated by private individuals and private families. So what we're going to see evolve is those private families will either have technical partners come to take over, or in the sense of two airlines that we've seen the government take over those airlines because they're considered to fail. So in the instance where we see the government not taking over, they have not, and I do not envisage, that's a personal opinion, whereby a situation whereby the airlines will merge together or be acquired by one another, because they have various role models, different government plans, and most of the airlines here do not want to take over the liabilities and challenges of existing domestic airlines. So they will rather grow organically or partner with foreign entities rather than take over domestic airline.
All right. Tayo Juri, thank you so much for your time on the... Joining me now is Managing Partner at Glow Aviation Support Services Limited, Tayo Juri. Tayo, it's good to have you join me right now. Now, one issue in the aviation sector that is very, very of great concern to a lot of people is the issue of job losses. Now, IATA has projected about 91,000 jobs to be lost in the aviation sector. Talk to us about this. It's kind of scary when you look at the numbers.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. Yes, IATA has actually estimated and forecasted about 91,000 jobs. We're looking at about 3.5 million less passengers and about $650 million in revenue lost to airlines in itself. So if you're going to look at that logically, with the lost and passenger reduction, the airlines, as it were, are unable to keep the jobs, not just within the airlines, it's right within the value chain and ancillary services within the aviation sector, from the airline services to the ground handling services to the fueling services, in-flight catering. So what that would actually cause is we're going to see more people go out to the job market, which is already saturated. But to address this, most of the airlines and the airline operating team owners actually submitted a position whereby you're looking at direct funding, loans, guaranteed loans, and actually reduction in taxes for a time period, so that the airlines are able to stabilize and operate and keep the jobs running.
All right. Now, looking at this projection where there could be the likelihood of about 91,000 people losing their jobs, is it also likely that besides those losing their jobs, we could also find people gaining jobs or securing jobs in the industry as COVID-19 wears away and we have new businesses springing up in that area? Is it possible? Is it likely?
Yes, it's very likely, and we look at not just we've actually simulated some numbers, and we've seen that the reality on ground is we've seen the growth of logistics as at this time. We've seen lots of technological advancement. We've seen the growth for need for cargo as well. So rather than focus on the passenger operations, we might see if the cargo industry evolving faster than we had actually thought. With that, those within the passenger operations are able to transfer the skills into the cargo sector. And over and beyond that, there's the options of, we have agriculture, like you had mentioned in the earlier segment. We still have farmers going to the farms. So if this is actually optimized, we actually have, the roads are still not the challenge, the railways is still not the challenge. So to have just-in-time movement of goods and services from one part to the other, aviation still provides that opportunity.
All right. We have heard some people say that at times like this, as we wait for COVID-19 to go away, this is the best time for Nigeria to expedite action on a national carrier. What difference or what impact would that make at this time?
I doubt if that's the right decision to make at this time. Okay. One, the investor will be very finicky, and they're really skeptical about investing now. Even within don't forget the national carrier model is about 95% foreign investment, or which foreign investment actually, because it's only we can actually get that kind of money through foreign investors, and 5% government owned. So at this time, investors are very skeptical about big time, long-term investments. So what they actually need to do is guarantee those that are existing, provide policies that are able to ensure that they are stabilized, they're able to withstand this economic shock, and then thereafter open strategic and technical partners to existing operators where they're able to grow and actually withstand this challenge.
All right. Thank you very much, Tayo Juri, for your time on the program always. We appreciate you.